Surfing is one of the hardest sports to learn. You will spend longer on average as a beginner in surfing than almost any other sport. So what does it mean to make the transition from a beginner to what we call a competent or intermediate surfer?
I got my safety goggles on for this question.
What takes a beginning surfer to the intermediate level?
Learn how to cut back.
Don't just go one way. When the wave starts fizzling, you gotta cut back.
Time in the water.
Time in the water.
Time in the water.
You know, everyone's gonna say time, but I think leaning into being a beginner is really important too, because you just gotta start asking questions to the right people. You gotta lean into the legends and yeah, it's so funny.
I've noticed you riding a softboard out in the waves. Do you consider yourself a beginner or an intermediate or advanced surfer?
I'm just going back to being a total kook beginner because that's what's fun. If you're riding a shortboard, you can't keep your toes on the board. So you got to learn how to get your front foot under you.
I'm Dan Hasselschwert, big wave held charger and owner of Ossies Surf Shop. Well, it's important to know your standing in the surf lineup. If you're a beginner or an intermediate or an advanced surfer, that's critical information.
My mentor told me I was an intermediate surfer. I didn't self-proclaim. How do you know? Well, maybe somebody who's a lot better than you should tell you if you made it to an intermediate surfer or not.
What do you think the difference between a beginner and an intermediate surfer is?
I think you're intermediate if you consistently can catch waves and ride down the line. You know, if you're like not going straight and you're not surfing white water, then you're like intermediate. And it just comes down to paddling. They should call it paddling, not even surfing. Especially out here with the wetsuit on the cold water. Everything kind of spawns from strong paddling. So don't even think of it like surfing or getting to your feet, or don't even, you know, I even go out sometimes and not even catch waves, but sometimes I catch tons of waves, but I always paddle.
What do you think, in your opinion, it takes a surfer to go from considering themselves a beginning surfer to an intermediate surfer?
When he's confident in the water, when he's comfortable in the water, and knows his limitations. Yeah,
Perfect.
That's it.
I like it. So, what is that surfer's ability level? And if yes, why?
Wait, what was the first part again?
Yeah.
You know, I always tell people when I'm doing surf lessons, it took me my whole 8th grade summer, every day going for hours.
Yeah.
You know, before you get proficient, you know, you got to spend time.
What makes a beginner? A beginner is
Kind of a weird
Deep desire for intense amounts of pain.
I took a surf lesson 6 months ago, and that changed everything for me. By the end of the lesson, I was catching waves on my own. At this point a lot, like paddle fitness, I don't really have much of. I'm learning my board a little bit better. Well, first day out on it today. The fact that I'm still figuring things out, don't really know much about reading waves, so I think that's where I'm really trying to focus next.
So time in the water is what it's all about, and the more time you spend in the water, the more that you'll learn about surfing, the more that you'll learn about yourself, the more you'll learn about the waves. And I don't know that there's any set amount of time that you have to put into the water. For me personally, it took about 1.5 years of surfing at least 3 to 4 times a week until I felt like I had the basics down where I could ride both a longboard and a shortboard, and I felt competent.
I could handle myself out in the ocean with confidence. I would know my limits, and I would manage my board and my body and the people around me in a way that was competent.
For me, a competent surfer knows the rules and etiquette of surfing in a crowd, They know how to read a surf forecast and choose days that are safe. An intermediate should be able to get up to their feet, go down the line on a green-faced wave, cut back, straighten back out, maybe start to do the roller coaster. This is what I consider some of the basics that surfers are trying to learn. And so until you can catch a wave and not just go straight in the white water, but actually catch a green-faced wave, stand up, turn, and roller coaster, cut back, get back going the way you were, kind of a figure eight maneuver. I feel like those are the basics that for wave riding that take you from a beginner to an intermediate.